Your favorite film is awful.
Hello, and welcome to Your Favourite Film is Awful, the weekly show where we take your favourite films and defend them against negative reviews. As always, I'm Luke, and with me is Charlie. Say hello, Charlie.
How you doing, my man?
And, yet again, it's Matt Whittle from Full Fat. How you doing, Matt?
For Snyder.
Snyder. That is all I heard was Snyder.
I will accomplish the task of defending the movie in his name. For Darkseid. For
Glad
Snyder.
to hear it.
Will you use the old ways, Matt?
Ready the Armada. We will use the old ways. Send out the hashtags. Hashtag Restore the Snyderverse. Hashtag Justice League 2. Hashtag Snyder's Kingdom. Hashtag Sheriff Snyder. Hashtag Your Favourite Film is Awful. Snyder Cut Review Podcast. That was like
The
my plug
hashtags
at the
write
end.
themselves. It's beautiful.
Yeah. You're not even paying me for this. You're just getting liquid gold. Just the first 2 minutes.
We've already got the Snyder fans in. We've already got them in. The Armada's already here to watch it.
Yeah, my people are here, and it is a glorious day for us all. We're all rejoicing on the bountiful blood of those who dared to cross Snyder, like the critics and you know, those fake fans who disrespected Snyder's vision. They've all, you know, all their chickens have come home to roost now. Let me tell you.
Fantastic.
You know, I almost feel like maybe this isn't your favourite film, and we've only just started.
It is my favourite film of all time, the Snyder Cut.
Oh, okay. Beautiful. Good.
I'm going to cut that out and just stick it on the community post of like everything.
Ask me what
Tweet
my
it.
number 2 movie is. Ask me what my number 2 is.
Oh, what's your number 2?
The Justice League theatrical cut.
See, we lost all our Snyder
Quite
fans.
close. I was expecting something else, and then Joss Whedon's.
No, like this iteration of the Justice League in all its forms is like my favourite movie ever. And like, so when people say that, oh, the reviews are in, it's better than the theatrical cut. The theatrical cut was obviously already my favourite movie of all time. So I was like, wow, you mean by Thursday I'm going to have a new favourite movie? And of course it turned out to be true, because it is better than the theatrical cut by quite a huge margin. Yeah,
It is.
It's good.
But
It's
we're
all
getting
right.
ahead of ourselves, because like people are listening and watching, and they don't even know what this film's about. And as you,
They don't know what the Snyder Cut's about. Where you been? You've been under a rock
Oh.
for 10 years? Man of Steel, you seen
knows?
that? You seen it when Zod, like, they all go into the penises and they shoot up into the Phantom Zone? You remember that? Good. That was your homework. Strap in. You're about to lose your virginity to this movie, alright? Zack Snyder's Justice League, alright? That's how you open this movie. With respect, like you would have respect for a Jedi's weapon.
How many people
Like
do you reckon we've
as shown
lost?
in Rise of
You on
Skywalker.
How many people do you reckon we lost from this opening already? How many people do you reckon?
I'm just going.
yeah.
we're in?
Look. I'm just tapping into some like Zack Snyder, Rise of Skywalker, Greg Miller hype right now, and you know, I'm just riding the wave. I'm riding the wave, and I'm handing it to you. I'm offering it up to you all. For this bountiful gift that is the Snyder Cut. The Snyder Cut. Don't you just love saying it? Sorry, I'll let Luke continue. This is the longest Your Favourite Film is Awful intro ever. And I worry I've botched the whole operation. But let's blow this popsicle stand anyway.
Nah, no redos. This is it.
I'm always dressed.
Always dressed in a beautiful
always
business
dressed.
suit. For those that have been living under a rock, could you and Charlie together, united, tell us the plot of this film?
Are we not going to ask
Or more
what we've done
specifically,
first?
this
How are we
version.
been, Luke?
No, Matt went straight in. I don't care what you've been up to now. The hype train has left the station. We are doing the film and the film only.
Okay.
Wow.
Plot me, boys.
So basically, it's a 4-hour version of what we got in 2017, wherein Bruce Wayne, aka Batman, tries to assemble a team of heroes to stop the incoming alien invasion, led by Steppenwolf, who is of course led by Darkseid, who wasn't in the theatrical cut. But to say that this cut is just an expansion on the theatrical cut, I think would be doing it a huge disservice. It has a few similar plot beats, but in terms of the character work and the journeys and the tone, it is a wildly different movie. And it's got a lot of heart to it. I'd say out of all of Zack Snyder's movies, this is one of the ones that has the most actual emotional core to it, an emotional heart. And Cyborg anchors the whole movie. Everything that was taken out of the original cut that is now put back in is all the better for it. I absolutely love this character. I mean, weirdly, I thought he was the best thing in the theatrical cut, but here he cements the movie for me as an enjoyable experience, in spite of all the awful Jared Leto infused antics in the last half an hour, which I'm sure we'll get to.
Yes, we will get to that. Charlie, you get to act like Batman and see what you can add to that beautiful piece of teamwork there.
Yeah, you fill in the gaps for me.
Matt stole the Yeah, fill in the gaps, Charlie. Do your part of the plot.
I mean, I feel like he's done it, right? I mean, they also go to pick up Aquaman, you know, who's got a singing choir that follows him around.
This is true.
Yeah, and also, yeah, I mean, there's a lot going on in this movie. And I don't really know how to say any better than Matt just did, if I'm honest with you. He summarised the plot.
What we're experiencing here is what Charlie's doing is like the theatrical cut of the podcast, and I'm giving you like the Snyder cut of the podcast.
Yeah, he's giving you the full.
So like, you know, it's just longer, more bloated, more irritating, less subtle, but ultimately you get more bang for your buck. And that's what I'll be doing today as I defend it, whilst this heathen Charlie Lilly tries to sully the immaculate good name of the Snyder Cut.
Hey, look, I'm going to try my best today to actually defend it. As much as everyone knows, if they listen to the Full Fat podcast, that I was not a fan of this movie, I'm going to try my best today to defend it. So
really,
yes.
See, I thought you know, the reason why I've been coming in with some fight and talk is
Okay.
because I thought you were going to trash it in front of me before my very eyes, and I thought
Okay.
Luke was also
I'm
going
sure
to
it
be there.
will. I'm sure it will pop up accidentally.
Yeah. Okay. All right. Bring it.
I mean, the aim of this show is to be nice to the film until the end when you get to trash it.
When you
But
get to
for
say
now,
like
everyone's
you're
on the
complete.
same side.
Okay.
It's true.
We're all loving the film until the end potentially. Apart
Cut the
from
chit chat,
reviews.
baby. Let's go to the first review. Let's do it. Come on.
I shall. This is from Joe. It's a 1-star review. I don't want to hype it up any more than it needs to be, but this might be one of my favourite reviews I've ever found. And it's quite simple. You look at this and tell me there's a God.
There's a God.
Yes, sir, Your Honour, there is a God, and his name is Sheriff Snyder, and he has brought this bountiful gift of the Snyder Cut, and, you know, his disciples, the Justice League, Superman, Batman, Cyborg, Wonder Woman, Aquaman, The Flash, have all come down to give us such bountiful gifts as their spin-off solo movies, which are coming in the next couple of years. So that is kind of like, you know, the continuation of the journey, the introspective emotional journey that has been begun here in all of our hearts. From, you know, the day the Earth stood still could also be surmised as the day the Snyder Cut was released. Have that.
I mean, to the fans of this movie, Zack Snyder is a god. So,
And everything I said is just, that was what's been swirling around in a Snyder acolyte's head, I suppose.
exactly. Not in your
An exaggerated version of it. I hope so, anyway.
What are you talking about? Don't lie. That's what you've been screaming all week, mate. Walking around going, "Oh, the sheriff. He's the greatest auteur there's ever
The
been a
greatest
motion
auteur of all
picture."
time.
Did you say this is a
Yeah,
motion pic?
I
This is a superhero flick that even Scorsese can appreciate. Is that what you said, Matt? Isn't it?
Well,
as the
I
sheriff.
definitely think it juggles multiple characters much better than Goodfellas does. Goodfellas could probably do with. And
I don't think I'm gonna make it. I don't think I'm gonna make it.
And I think Snyder's religious parallels are a lot more subtle and a lot more interconnected and interwoven and dynamic, you might say, than the Christ movie that Scorsese made, or indeed Silence, which was more recent. The Last Temptation of Christ, I believe it is.
Yes.
Is that the one? Scorsese? Yeah, I always get that mixed up with the Mel Gibson one.
Yeah.
And obviously we're going into the Passion of the Christ. Yeah. So like in the Christ movie canon, in the Christ movie cinematic universe,
this is in there. This is up there, isn't it? So you got the Last Temptation of Christ,
surely,
Passion of Christ, and you have the Snyder Cut.
There's not a single scene in the Zack Snyder Superman verse that's not in some way referencing the fact that he is our Jesus.
Matt, if I hadn't seen you drink water, I would have thought that you'd have downed like 5 energy drinks before you came onto the podcast.
No, you see, Luke, I've had my eyes opened by the glory of the Snyder Cut, and from henceforth, I shall be known as the son of Snyder, one of many, the children of Snyder. Like the children of Thanos. Ready the Armada. We will use the old ways.
What I love about this is that from now on, I feel like anyone listening is not going to have a clue whether what you're saying is how you actually truly feel, or if you're playing the character. And I'm living for it.
The character? What character? What character?
I'm sorry, the son of Snyder.
No, look. This review is hard to defend against because it is so short, and it sort of implies that we can answer the huge, heady existential question of, is there a creator, by looking at the 4-hour Snyder Cut, and I don't think we'll get that answer because it's just a movie. But yeah, I mean, sure, it seems like this guy didn't like it. What can I say?
Yeah. Did you get this from that Christian site that you had been on before? Where we get
no, I did not. This was just a generic review site.
Okay.
How about a different review then? A slightly longer one that you'll be able to argue a little
I can sink my teeth
more
into.
coherently.
Go on. I will now answer this one completely seriously. No banter. I'll be completely honest about how I feel.
I
about
am
Snyder
expecting so much smoke. This is from Pat Brown. Our heroes... Oh, so this is an extract from a longer review. Just putting that out. Our heroes stand firm by the time the epilogue rolls around, but the world of the film seems none the brighter. At all moments, Snyder's imagery threatens to degrade into the kind of indistinguishable grey mass that the real-world scientists say awaits our universe, and at its entropic endpoint... If this all sounds dull and oppressive, that would almost seem to be the point. Prominent among the changes that Snyder has implemented relative to the 2017 version of the film that features cuts and reshoots overseen by Joss Whedon is to remove much of the fun that the Avengers mastermind inserted into what turned out to be a dour, proto-fascist vision of mythical violence exercised in an utterly fallen world, willfully unconstructed and empathetically stationary. Zack Snyder's Justice League could be taken as an international travesty of the superhero genre, if only it weren't so tortuously tedious.
Wow.
Can you tell that one came from a critic?
This one was too long and too detailed. I'm not ready for this. I'm out here. I need a happy middle ground between reviews. No. Listen, the 2017 Justice League is fun, and you might be able to say it's more fun if you were to define fun as a lighter tone and sillier and more jokes. It is more fun. But this does feel like a true sequel to Batman v Superman and Man of Steel, tonally, and it feels like it's the same characters as what was established in those first two movies. Whereas in the Joss Whedon theatrical cut, you can just tell that the MCU has come crashing into the Snyderverse, and those two do not mix.
No, not at all.
The theatrical cut is, there's some good scenes, there's some good fun scenes and fun moments, but whenever it feels incongruent to the tone that's been set up in the previous DCEU movies, it sticks out like a sore thumb and it doesn't work. So for me, before I went into the Snyder Cut, even though I knew it was 4 hours and I knew it was probably going to have some like bloated reshoot scenes and maybe a lot of slow-mo, 10% even, I expected it to be a more cohesive and therefore more enjoyable experience, and it was. And I want to give this movie more time of day from the off compared to the theatrical cut, because the theatrical cut has the same problem as something like Rise of Skywalker, where it screams that it was made by a committee. Whereas this, for all its faults, and it does have a lot of faults, as much as there are things I like about it, it is still a 4-hour blockbuster involving some of the most iconic superheroes of all time, including Superman and Batman, and it's framed in 4:3. And it's 4 hours long. It's 4 hours long. Like, the fact that it exists is incredible. The fact that it exists on top of the story of, everyone going, of course it doesn't exist, and the fans being like, no, we're going to campaign for it, we're going to go through blood, sweat, tears, and parademon blood just to get there. What an incredible story, both in the universe of the movie and outside of it.
No, it's true.
And
to go off that, what you said...
hop back to one of your previous...
just to go on to what you said...
You're fighting over me, I love it. I love it.
Yeah. It was funny because I think there was a bit of a delay there on my Zoom. I think that was probably why. But yeah, no, I think it's interesting, like, even though we were joking earlier about saying, the auteur... Zack Snyder or whatever, but like, if you look at this movie, I mean, it kind of is an auteur's vision. I mean, whether you take that as a positive or a negative, I mean, auteur theory, it refers to someone's vision being told on screen, one single person's vision, and I can't not sit here and say whether someone liked it or not. Like, this is Zack Snyder's vision, and it's 100% like. Out of all the superhero movies that we get, and obviously like the Marvel movies, as much as I love the Marvel movies, I mean, people can say like they look very similar, and obviously like Kevin Feige's looking, he's over the top of them all. Whereas like you watch this, it could only be made by Zack Snyder. Do you know what I mean? It could only be made by Zack Snyder, and there's something about that, isn't there? There's something to that. There's something really bizarre about watching this 4-hour superhero movie that treats itself really seriously, but like it does it all for the fans. This is what the fans wanted this whole time, and they got it. It's a complete fascinating. I felt like I was watching an experiment almost. It was like
it is cinema history.
Yeah, you can't deny it. Whether you want to, whether that makes you hurt inside or not, like it is. Like, do you know what I mean? Like
cinema history brought to you via streaming.
Yeah, in 4:3. In 4-3.
Yeah.
Who would have thought you'd see Batman in the same like aspect ratio as the Grand Budapest Hotel and the Lighthouse,
and swearing and R-rated and 4 hours?
Like, it's just pure. It's pure Snyder, like you said, and there's something to that. There is something to that. Whereas before, obviously, the original Justice League, it was a bit of a mess. Obviously, it was two people's visions completely opposite of each other. You have Whedon on the one hand, who's very upbeat, likes these kind of jokes, likes these, very like zinger dialogue, and then on the other hand you have Zack Snyder, who likes everything dark and moody, and everything has to have some sort of deep and meaning and some clunky-ish dialogue.
But I do think this movie was a lot lighter in tone than the previous DCEU movies he's done, and
100%.
Like, most of his other movies.
Yeah.
But it didn't feel like a betrayal in tone. Do you see what I mean? Like, it felt like the natural progression from Batman v Superman. And also...
Yeah, 100%, I agree with that.
In hindsight, you can see why, for people like us who don't like Batman v Superman, I think it just cements what's wrong with that movie. In that, I don't like Batman v Superman because it feels like an extended trailer for a Justice League movie.
Yes. It
doesn't really feel like it's a Batman or Superman. It's sort of set up so in this clunky manner for them to fight when they're eventually going to team up, and we're seeing what's going to become of all these emails and all these metahumans and the metahuman thesis, and what is Lex Luthor going to do in the future and all this sort of stuff. Whereas this is actually the story you feel like Zack wanted to tell. Yeah. A story he wanted to tell, like someone like Cyborg. You can feel the passion for that character coming off on screen. You can feel the passion for even a character like Superman, which I know a lot of people are critics of Snyder's Superman. I think he delivers a really great Superman here. He actually delivers the best Batman he's ever delivered. He doesn't kill the whole movie. If he does kill, it's parademons, which I give a free pass because they're basically undead. They're monsters.
Yeah, they're not humans.
I also thought it was weird that he added that scene at the end with Jared Leto where his Batman explicitly says that he won't kill him, as if to sort of re-establish the no-kill rule with Batman. I wonder if that was very deliberate to sort of kind of retcon, all the, quote-unquote, as Zack said, manslaughter in Batman v Superman, which was just outright murder at the hands of Batman. Like, he just flies over those trucks and just, like, completely plows through them.
Yeah. Which is why I can understand why this reviewer said it was, like, pro-fascist kind of thing, like, because of that stuff, like, that Batman just murdering people. But it is weird, like, you just reminded me about that scene with the Joker at the end, because what's kind of weird about that is, it's like, well, surely the only point you would need to kill is that guy. That's the only guy you really need to kill. Like, if you're gonna kill someone, that's the dude to do it to, not these random henchmen. But anyway, I guess he's trying to listen to the fans.
Part of it's going to be sunk
to an extent.
Part of that's going to be sunk cost fallacy. He's spent so long not killing the Joker and let so many other people die. Then to kill him now, it'd be like everyone else died for nothing.
I think he just really, really does want that reach around that Leto was offering in the movie.
Yeah.
He's think about it. He's in the apocalypse. Who has he got? So he's got like Cyborg could jack him off, but he's got a metal hand. That's gonna hurt. Deathstroke. They used to be enemies, so there's no trust there. You don't trust what he's gonna do with his peen. He might chop
enemies
it off.
To lover.
Well, isn't it according to the sequels? He's been bumping uglies with old Lois Lane, hasn't he?
Well, yeah, in the unproduced sequels, it was supposed to eventually turn out that Superman's son was actually Bruce Wayne, that he was the biological father. Weird. And I have to say, I wonder what Snyder's core fan base would have thought of that, because that is a big deviation from the comics. And I wonder what the general audience would have thought. I don't think that would have been popular, and I think it would have been hard for Snyder's fans to defend that one. So just a weird creative choice, which I am glad didn't end up happening. It seems like in this movie, they've kind of canonized, I suppose perhaps because we're not going to see the Snyder DCU ever again, that Superman and Lois are pregnant and it is his baby. There's like an 80-yard line at the end when they get the house back where Bruce says something like, "Congratulations, by the way." And then obviously we see a pregnancy test in Lois's drawer early on in the movie. So I think they're kind of implying that, or at least the baby that would come about in that nightmare future. But since that's not going to happen now, just give them the happily ever after. They had the baby.
Isn't that the pregnancy test that has a really weird name? Is it like false something? Something
I don't know.
Bizarre. Yeah, but I do agree with you with Cyborg. That is like my takeaway from this film. Like, I was like, I want a Cyborg solo movie. All the Cyborg stuff was fantastic. Like, the Zack Snyder Cyborg movie out there is phenomenal. I mean, there's quite a lot of that in this movie. I just love that he was this kind of like Frankenstein monster created by his dad, and he had this really interesting, complex relationship he had with his dad that I was like, I kind of want to see more of this stuff the whole time. I was like, this was really good.
Yeah, I took a character that I was the least interested in part because I know the least about that character. I never really watched Teen Titans as a kid. Like, I'm more of a fan of like Batman, Superman, the Flash, that kind of era. But having said that, I was excited for Cyborg. Immediately from the trailers, even all the way back in 2016, I was like, okay, visually, they've made him look very different to Iron Man. It feels like he's got sort of a different kind of depiction of his abilities. That seems interesting. But now to finally see in the 2021 Snyder Cut this awesome story where, out of everyone in the league, I guess he is the most broken and the biggest underdog, while simultaneously the most powerful. Like, you don't see any of his sort of like wider powers in the 2017 cut, but in this, like, we see that he could cause nuclear strikes, he could shift around all the balances of power in the world, he could make people rich, make people poor, he could do so much. and the way that he can interact with our interconnected world is fascinating. Great bit of texture to the character that you could easily spin off into its own movie.
100%.
Yeah.
100%.
It was a fantastic character. Fantastic.
I agree, and like you said, like for like coming off a film like Batman vs Superman, which was a very cynical movie, to then have a scene. Well, it's been quite a lot of time with someone like Cyborg, where he's giving this lady who's struggling with rent some money in her bank account. Like, just I just that did really surprise me from Zack Snyder, and it was the stuff that I was like, this is really good. This is and
yeah.
There's something about this movie that there's some really good stuff in it, and there's some good scenes. It's all too long, but at the same time, like we've said before, Matt, it's like this was the chance to chuck it all in. The fans wanted it all, so why not? He just chucked everything in. He chucked every single scene he could think of in, and they absolutely, they've gone bananas for it. And
that's interesting that you say that, though, because obviously you said on the Full Fat podcast that you still need to judge it as a movie, as a 4-hour experience. Do you still feel like that?
Okay. I still think you should judge it as a 4-hour movie. Yes, I still think you should judge it as experience, but I do think there is something interesting. Like, the more I thought about it, in that, the fans cried out for this, and how can I put it? It's like, I understand that he had to give him everything he had. If he had all this stuff, he shot his stuff with Green Lantern. They might as well. If they've been given the money to do it, they might as well. But my argument to that, and what I was trying to say on the Full Fat podcast, was like, yeah, do that, but still try and make it a good story that's tight, instead of just, let's just chuck this in because this is what the fans want, kind of thing. Does that if that makes sense? But like,
it's one of those weird things, though, isn't it? Because it was created by the fans.
Yeah.
In a bigger sense than ever before. Like, even more so with like Batman v Superman and Man of Steel. It's not like Batman v Superman couldn't get away with having a trailer for the next movie in its runtime because it came out at the cinema and it was trying to grasp a wide audience, and it wasn't just for the fans.
Yeah.
But this is genuinely just for the fans. My mum is never going to watch the Snyder Cut. It's 4 hours long, but she might watch like WandaVision, for example. It's accessible. Do you know what I mean? It's in a half an hour format.
Yeah.
But this is completely for, at the very least, your average superhero fan. You can't just be like a bystander of cinema to watch the Snyder Cut or to even know what it is.
That's true.
Like you might see the new Justice League cut come up on Sky Store or whatever over the weekend, but if you're not in the know, why would you think it's there's no more precedent to it than any other director's cut? So this is something that was made for the fans top to bottom, and that's why it has so many weird extraneous scenes that don't need to be there. But when I watch them, I try and think, if this came out in 2017 and this had been the Zack Snyder movie, it would have been 2.5 hours, and it wouldn't have had that horrible half an hour block of like weird scenes like Ben Affleck meeting Martian Manhunter and just looking like he doesn't want to be there. So I try and not judge it for those things, but also just as a package and as an experience that I got something from in my miserable little life. There were bits that I really enjoyed and I really did feel the heart, and it mattered to me, and I got like an experience that I want from a movie. And then it also had the so bad it's good angle of, like the next day I came over to you while you were working at your computer and I just played you the part where Ben Affleck meets Martian Manhunter, and we were like cracking up. Because you can clearly tell they got Ben in for a day behind a green screen, and he's just like, yeah, well, really glad that you're here. Just so happy that you're here, Martian Manhunter. Yeah, well, we're going to have to stop Darkseid. Like, he just does not give a shit. And that's hilarious. And even the bad stuff, even the grimy stuff is still getting brighter with the Snyder Cut.
I kind of know what you mean. I mean, as much as I complained on the Full Fat podcast as well that there was loads of slow-mo, and like we found out now that it's 10% of the movie is slow motion. There is something about it that's like, this is Zack Snyder just like, I'm just gonna make everything look as awesome in a way that the only way I can sort of describe him is like in a similar way to how Michael Bay can be at times, in terms of, he's making every thing look so awesome, almost to like its detriment. But there's a part of me that can't help but laugh at the ridiculousness of it. it's just difficult because there's a really. I find it really difficult. There's something really weird about this movie, and it's that, you know, you've got to look at it with the lens of it's from the fans, but then I've also got to look at it as it's a movie, and I've got to treat it as no other movie. But then also, it isn't like any other movie because of the circumstance. So it's there's this weird, you know, there's this weird like conflict I have about the film. And that's why.
But because you're on the show called Your Favorite Film is Awful, you're going to discard all of that and just defend the movie.
It's true.
Because that's what we're here for.
It's true. It's true.
For Dark Side, for Luke's side.
It's
For
true.
Luke's side.
Luke's side. It's true.
I really want to Photoshop Luke just like this part of your face onto like Dark Side, and then Charlie can be Steppenwolf.
Indeed. To very quickly.
I'll be Batman. I'll be Batman.
Oh, okay.
By default.
Barely want to be there.
I'll take the bullet. I'll bite the bullet.
What I was going to say is, because you mentioned when you were talking about the review, the Joss Whedon theatrical cut and the different scenes, and I've not watched Joss Whedon. Is that his name?
Joss
Man,
Whedon,
it's been so long I've forgotten his... Yeah, Joss Whedon. I can't remember. So I watched that when it came out, maybe a couple of months after, but that was 3 years ago, basically. 4 years ago. There is nothing in that film that isn't in the Zack Snyder cut that I miss. Nothing. I just wanted to throw that out there. I thought that was a...
My audio cut out for most of that. I don't know if anyone else had the same experience.
I had the same thing. But
I don't know what most of you were saying. I'm sorry, mate.
I feel like you said something about there's nothing that you miss from the original Justice League. Is that right?
That is exactly what I said in fewer words.
That's kind of true. I mean, other than a couple of lines of dialogue that Whedon brought to it,
Nope.
in terms of scenes, there's nothing that missed. I mean, I do think that this blows the other one out the water in terms of, you know, it's completely coherent. It's a coherent story, and it fleshes out a lot of characters.
You're in the back seat with Zack Snyder. You both drive into Pacific Playland. And you're like, oh, the Snyder Cut totally blows. My mind, it's so good. It's so fun.
Exactly. I've got no
Zack Snyder played by Woody Harrelson.
Exactly. I've got no qualms with Snyder. You know, I like The Dawn of the Dead. I like Watchmen. I like 300. You know, I like those movies. I just didn't like Batman vs Superman very much. But I'm gonna defend this one, Luke, aren't I? So I'm gonna say
Good. That's what I like to hear.
I'm gonna say that I did think that he fleshed out a lot more of the characters. Like Matt said, I think Batman is the best he's been. Well, Ben Affleck's Batman is the best he's been. I also think that the Flash, I had a lot of fun with the Flash. I think the Flash had some really cool stuff. Some really good gags. I really liked Ezra Miller as the Flash. I really like how it kind of felt like to me, because the Flash is so overpowered, really. You know, to have super speed like that. I mean, that creates a lot of problems as a writer, I imagine. But I did like that they kind of made him this young. Yeah, I mean, I did like that they made him this young.
He's only got 5 minutes to disable the bomb, and he's also got to do this. Oh shit! No way, he's got super speed. To add something else in.
I mean, you say that, but Wonder Woman and Superman both basically have super speed as well.
Oh no, and he's got his mate Superman in the script as well. He can do it as well. Oh god damn it, what am I going to do? I know, we'll have one lone parademon on a turret. We'll just shoot at the Flash. That'll screw him up
and
for
somehow
the Justice League.
He'll hit him. But yeah, no, I did like how they made him, you know, a bit younger, a bit more sort of immature, and I like that they kind of implied that was the flaw that was allowing him to get hit by the parademon with the big machine gun thing. Because
he's less headstrong, isn't he?
Yes, because I think if he is headstrong and that, if he was more like a more wiser Flash, there's no way I'm buying that he's going to get hit by anything else. You know what I mean? But I like that, you know, he still feels kind of young with his powers, and he feels like he's still trying to figure out what's going on. And I thought that was I like that in a room full of people that are so sure of themselves. I like that we had this character that wasn't as much. I did like that, I must admit.
I just think Steppenwolf missed a trick because him and the Parademons would have won if they'd have had a guy on their team who had a boomerang. Because like Captain Boomerang could have easily taken out the Flash. So
It's true.
I just feel like they messed up. Can you imagine if Jai Courtney just turned up?
His only weakness is boomerangs, the Flash, because he doesn't predict that something could come back and hit him. He's dodged it once. He doesn't realise he's got to dodge it again.
Yeah.
It's too late by then.
Right, shall we have another review?
Yes, that sounds great.
Good. I'm glad for that confirmation. Right. This is a slightly longer one. I would say interrupt me as I go along, but as we've established in this new format, there's a bit of a delay, so don't. I've sent you the reviews so you can read along yourselves. This is from Conchu Knight and goes as following. Trash! This movie is try-hard garbage. You thought it would be better? Same old poopy potato. If you like this movie, you smell like fart and you need to lose weight. Ray Fisher, more like paint sniffer. Superman sucks. Affleck, more like fat sweat. Batman sucks. Captain America is better. Aquaman, haha. Imagine your favourite superhero is a guy that walks around with an oversized fork and smells like frickin' tuna. But imagine thinking DC can be better than Marvel. You nerds. CGI monstrosities. Jared Leto's Joker? Ha ha ha. Trash. If you did not agree with this in-depth analysis...
He's not wrong. He's not wrong.
If you did not agree with this in-depth analysis, not you're allowed to disagree, of this 4-hour snooze fest, then I'm sorry to inform you. Ray Fisher is not the only cyborg. You're a cyborg as well, programmed to consume product. And it gets excited for next product. Seems like I am the only objective, non-biased person around here. 0 out of 10. Terrible movie.
First, I just have to jump in there. I just love that he said I'm the first non-biased person, yet also went on a rant to say that Marvel is way superior. So obviously he has got a bias.
Yeah,
I'm completely unbiased, but Captain America is better than Batman.
I feel like I can kind of smell the person who wrote this review. They seem very pent up and angry at the world and at Zack Snyder and superheroes in general. And, you know, like, poor Mr. Affleck. What has he done to deserve this? Ray Fisher, more like paint sniffer. They're not even good Rex. I mean, I'm sure Ray Fisher is not shaking in his boots at this review thinking, wow, they've really got me there. And he's rung up his mate Affleck, and obviously Affleck's in tears. He's in bits. Aquaman, haha, imagine your favourite superhero is a guy that walks around with an oversized fork. I mean, to be fair, the first good rec of the review, he does walk around with an oversized fork.
What does he call Batman again? What does he call
So we've got Affleck, more
Batman?
like fat sweat.
Fat sweat. Well, to be fair, I could understand that with the other Justice League, because he did look like he didn't want to be there and he was in the reshoots and he couldn't quite fit into the Batman suit as he did before. But in this movie, I think he was he looked like Batman. he looked the part. It was
my favourite uninterrupted segment of this review is Jared Leto Joker. Ha 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 ha. Trash. If you did not agree with this in-depth analysis, that is like a single perfection point. Yeah,
that should be the title.
Yeah. But yeah, like, obviously now that we're done with the joke review, we'll be getting on to the serious reviews.
You didn't like Khonshu Knight? I thought that was a great review, personally.
No, I think Khonshu Knight needs to work on themselves.
I don't know. With that type of thought, maybe you smell like fart and you need to lose some weight.
I mean, not untrue.
Why do you think he puts aftershave on before
there.
every podcast?
Yeah, because these opinions stink. They stink of glory and victory. I sound like Ron Burgundy.
Stink of Snyder's vision.
Okay, shall we have a bit more of a well put together review?
No, I prefer one like the last one we got, just over and over again.
So I just do Conchu Nights again? Okay. Trash. This movie is tryhard. No. This is from Eliphas. It's a 3 out of 10. It's 2 paragraphs. 3 paragraphs, so I can even pause. Movie just plain sucks. It's no surprise it's 4 hours long with how little respect it has with the viewer's time. With all the garbage slow motion, unnecessary close-ups of mundane objects, weird musical hero introductions, and
Can I stop you there?
dialogue.
Can I stop you there?
Yes.
Wonder Woman's musical introductions are awful. I completely agree with that point. I don't know why you would take the awesome, iconic Wonder Woman theme and strip it out of most of the movie and replace it with this.
Yeah, it was
just
so weird.
No, yeah, it might have been cool like once or twice, but every single time she does anything, it was like beyond parody. Particularly by the time we got to the finale and it was still going on, it was just like, oh come on. Who in the edit didn't call time on that idea?
Yeah, it plays so much.
Nobody.
And not even
Nobody
that.
called
I mean, literally the music in general, like randomly playing like Nick Cave, like and stuff like that. Like these really moody, like musicians, music like playing over the top of like fucking superheroes. Like and I think it's weird when that happens because it's like it looks like the movie's taking itself seriously than it should be. Because of that movie, that music, those music choices, and it kind of lets it down. Because I'm like, if you kind of upped up the fun and like Matt said, like that Wonder Woman theme, like what? Just give you the Wonder Woman theme, and everyone loves that theme anyway. Why do you just keep the? I don't know. It's strange choices.
Yeah, I think that's the only thing that's missing. That's from the Joss Whedon cut. Is Danny Elfman's score, because he scored the theatrical. Then it was another guy.
Yeah, but I didn't really love Danny Elfman's score. I thought that was so overrated. I thought the fact that he'd put in like a little bit from the Tim Burton iteration of Batman and the Chris Reeve Superman theme, it's like, so what? Like, these are rebooted characters. They're completely different. I think it's kind of a bit lazy to bring back the older theme.
I know. I was just going to say that it
Superman's
was a bit more
case.
concise, and it felt more that the music was the same tone throughout. Whilst in this one you had some like when Aquaman walks into the waves, and you have that like be a king song, and then another one where it's slow-mo and it's got this lighter hearted song, and this other scene where it's just death depressing, and like it felt like how a writer like listens to music to write scenes, and they just take any song and put it together to make a screenplay. But there was nobody, like no person getting this and making sure they all matched for this version, if that makes sense.
I didn't mind it so much, and I also I'd take this over the kind of boring ho-hum superhero cheer music from the Whedon cut. And also I particularly take this score just for all the Man of Steel like motifs sprinkled around.
Oh, that's true. I did like that.
The second half of the second act, like when they decide they want to resurrect Superman, they're all going around the table and his theme starts playing, and when he picks out his new outfit and all those kinds of things. Great moments, but it also makes me feel sad for Wonder Woman, because I think they kind of butchered her role in the movie, just if not only because of the music, but because she had nothing to do emotionally. She's just like going from plot beat to plot beat, going, "Oh, here's the background on Darkseid, by the way," and then she gets like 1 or 2 action sequences, and that's it. It's a shame,
but I mean,
obviously,
did she have more to do in the Joss Whedon cut?
She did have more to do, but that cut also kind of sidelines Cyborg's role and, you know, in favour of this kind of weird Bruce Diana romance. So I feel like no matter which cut you get, you're not going to get great Wonder Woman in Justice League, unfortunately. But she's got 2 solo movies, so she's got content.
True. Where did I get to? Was it... Oh yeah, weird musical hero introductions. And tell, don't show dialogue. I stopped at the 2-hour mark because I was so bored that barely anything happened. And the only thing to actually happen was this Amazon versus Steppenwolf fight that's extremely similar to the original movie. And some Olympic gods
yes,
versus
of course it's
Darkseid.
extremely similar.
Yeah.
That you can't criticize the movie for being too similar to what was, cut into the original version.
Yeah, that's weird. That's a weird thing to complain
Yeah.
about, isn't it? Because it's like that
Like,
was him, so it's like
Yeah, it just
and
means
if it
that
happens
Zack...
to be very similar to the original cut, it's only because that was what was intended.
Yes.
Yeah.
So you can't judge anything that makes the new cut look worse or better because of what happened in the theatrical cut. Do you know what I mean? It's a fugazi, it's fugazi, it's fairy dust. There is only the Snyder Cut.
And
I just
some
do all this for
Olympic...
Charlie's benefit. No
Yeah,
one at
I'm
home
loving
is enjoying it. No one at home's laughing. It's just all for Charlie. Not even Luke's enjoying it. Look at his poor little face. He's having a terrible time. He's thinking, let's get this guy off.
why do we keep bringing him back?
Why do we keep bringing him back?
No. I love you. It's fine. It's the delay I hate. Where was I? Oh yeah, and some Olympic gods versus Darkseid mumbo jumbo. I am definitely not planning on seeing the rest of this movie. So that was the first paragraph. What did you guys think of Darkseid in this film? Like, because he's actually in this version.
Yes, he was definitely in this version. In fact, I would say that he was in the present narrative, and he came to at least one attack. I don't know if you guys would agree or disagree with that, but I definitely would say that he is in the present narrative, and he definitely comes to one attack, which is, obviously more than the theatrical cut in which he wasn't in the present narrative and didn't come to one attack. Charlie.
I would also.
You
agree
can't
with
just
that, Matt.
nod.
I do
This is
agree
also
that
an
he's also
audio.
in the present narrative, and he does come to one.
And
This is just for Harry.
If on the, of course, because if I was someone that was had recently guested on the Full Fat podcast, and I'd put down a bet against someone handsome like I don't know, Matt Whittle, me, that the Snyder Cut would not have Darkseid in a substantial role, I think you'd lose that bet, because he is, of course, in the present narrative and does come to one attack. Lest we forget that he puts a helping hand on Man of Steel stock footage Superman when Lois is dead, and he also spears Aquaman with his own trident. Overall, I really liked his role in the movie for those reasons.
It's true. And he does have a substantial role. I mean, he literally is the motive behind Steppenwolf. Everything that Steppenwolf does.
Yeah.
He has wishy-washy one-dimensional motivations, like, I must find anti-life.
Yeah, of course.
But that's okay, because he's kind of the Emperor to Steppenwolf's Vader, and I imagine in the sequels they would have fleshed out Darkseid's motivations and his backstory a little bit more. But for the purposes of this movie, this first sort of setup in a trilogy, I think Darkseid was fantastic. He looked great. He was awesome in the flashback sequence. It was great to just get that as a fanboy treat, if nothing else. And he made Steppenwolf better by comparison.
That's true. And I think that's something we've not really delved into too much, actually, is Steppenwolf. I think Steppenwolf is one of the other characters that got a real upgrade in this movie. I think he's night and day better. I mean, from the design to his motivations, he actually was an actual character rather than, an archetype that's just there to move the plot along, just a baddie to punch. Whereas this, he still is that, but he, at least this time, we understand and we sympathise, to an extent with him. He's trying to prove himself to Darkseid, and I do always like those villains that are kind of a bit like they have something to prove. They have like a chip on their shoulder. I always like those kind of that are flawed. They're not perfect. They're not Darkseid. They're not the ultimate evil being. There's a weakness to them, and that's
that is it. It gives them that vulnerability, doesn't it?
Yes.
When you see on his face. When he hears, no, you've got 50,000 more worlds. The dude genuinely looks heartbroken. And you're thinking, 50,000 worlds? That is ridiculous. It's a bit over the top, Darkseid.
Yeah.
Don't stop being such a drama queen. Just let the man go home for 5 bloody minutes.
It's true.
So he can hug his grandma or something.
Do you think those eyes were intentional? Because I don't remember the eyes being quite so blue and clear in the original. They really emphasised it in this one, I feel like. And like,
yes, I feel like top to bottom he's had a complete redesign. I mean, the armour, the face, like, it's all completely different. The motivations, it's a completely different character to the 2017 version.
Yeah. 100%. Pretty much the only thing that remains is that he's after those 3 mother boxes.
Yeah.
Yes, well, much like the ship of Theseus, what remains of the original Steppenwolf, everything has changed to the point where, is it still the same Steppenwolf? Some might argue they are the same Steppenwolf, but some might argue they've always been 2 completely different Steppenwolfs.
Also, special mention, the part where a little girl asks Wonder Woman if she can be like her, and she says something like, "You can be whatever you want," was so cringe and dumb. I get the cringe message that they're trying to send, but come on, of course you can't, you dumb girl. She was born with damn superpowers. It was so stupid.
Yeah, I mean, I must admit, the meme of, "Can I be anything I want to be, Diana?" "No, you can't be me. I am a god, you silly human." It is hilarious, but obviously, it is nice that Snyder included that moment in Wonder Woman's introduction. I feel like perhaps more her than any other character in the Justice League, they have like kind of a distinct connection to children. In the same way, like a character like Doctor Who is often framed through how children view the character. I think Wonder Woman is definitely similar, and obviously she is an inspiration for young children everywhere. So I liked that. I liked that little moment. And obviously, you're not meant to take it literally. You're not meant to Drax the Destroyer it and go, "Wait a minute, Snyder. That little girl will never grow up to be Amazonian and be able to lift, a car. So I'm sorry, little girl, but you're not going to live up to your dreams." Like, come on, like let's stop splitting hairs here. All right, it's been a hard year for everyone. Let's just cut everyone a break.
I'm sorry, but I'm now just wishing that Drax was in the scene saying that. What do you mean? She can't lift car? Don't be silly. The girl's like,
Steppenwolf looks like a butt.
Beautiful. And the last line is, "Everything in a stupid AF 4x3 format." Which you notice, you spoke about before, the formatting, the lovely black squares on the side of our film.
I kind of love it and hate it at the same time.
Yes,
like it's awesome, as we said, that like this 4-hour R-rated superhero movie is in 4:3. And also, when you look at it, you have to like kind of remind yourself, this isn't in 4:3 really. It's just I've got extra. Do you know what I mean? Like if you could see a little bit more of my frame right now, and for some reason there were black bars and you're watching me for a square, it'd be the same thing. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
It's not like you're getting. It feels like you're getting
less
this cut off, but really you're getting more here. Did you like my visual diagram?
Yeah. That was good. That was good. Yeah, no, it's true.
Well, I think it's just. Sorry, go on.
Yeah, no, I just think it's weird that I think what I find weird about it is obviously it's a format for the IMAX screen, and I just. Obviously, that's the way he wanted it to be shown, but surely he could have thought maybe for the TV, general people wouldn't care as much. But like you said, Matt, it's everything's still there. But what I love about it is just that, like, it adds to the story, doesn't it? It adds to this bizarre story that is the Snyder Cut. That not only was this superhero 4-hour epic made by this director who made Batman vs Superman. Yeah, it's also in 4x3. There is something so bizarre about that that I love. That I kind of love. It just adds to it, doesn't it? Yeah. There's something so strange, and I don't know. It's just I mean,
it's difficult.
Like I said, it's weird, but I kind of love it because of that reason.
It's gonna be weird, like watching Man of Steel and BVS, and then like if you were to marathon it into this, suddenly we're in 4x3.
Yeah, that'd be so weird. Like, imagine the Infinity War in 4x3.
The Infinity War now in 4x3.
Infinity War.
What? Imagine it, Infinity War in black and white, which is what we're getting with Justice League. You could now watch all 4 hours again, but in black and white.
Black and white. That is like, do you not think that's the newest, like, cheapest move that they're doing now? Like was it Logan did it or Fury Road did it first? One of them did it first, and then all of a sudden
Fury Road did it, didn't it?
Yeah, Fury Road did it, and now everyone's just like, all we do is stick it back in Premi. We chuck a black and white filter over the top, and they can buy it separately as its own thing. Like,
yeah, it's insane. It's insane.
Because to shoot
it's
in
like
black and
barely
white,
new content.
no, because what's weird about it is, like, to shoot in black and white truly, like, you need to, like, light the scene for black and white. I mean, obviously you can put black and white over it, but, like, obviously, like, films like Clerks and stuff have put black and white over the top, and it wasn't intended that way. But I mean, if you want to shoot in black and white, I feel like there's got to be a reason. It's got to be shot and lit for black and white. You know, there's got to be a reason.
Yeah,
that
you want like
these
hard
high
lighting, don't you?
Exactly. Yeah.
I mean, I would agree, apart from the fact that we live in a digital era where you can do it all in post. It's the whole CGI versus practical effects. It's which one is better.
But it's not going to look as good as something that was like bespoke with the lighting.
Yeah, exactly.
I mean, that again, that
for
could be
black
said
and
with
white.
practical effects versus CGI, though. Like,
In what way?
like, people, you could easily say that a practical effect, where it's literally exploding, for example, or blood is actually hitting a window, will look better than a digital effect of blood hitting the window or something exploding.
But I think the difference is the intent between like a practical blood splatter and a CGI blood splatter might be the same, and it might be, you know, dictated by budget and restraints. Whereas, you know, to go into a movie and film it in black and white, you know, and purposely go for those hard shadows and that contrast because you care about the movie being in black and white is a far cry to being like, oh, let's just digitally change it to be black and white. And even if you could do a really good job, it just comes off so cynical and like such a cash grab. I'm sure, you know, maybe some directors that have reimagined their films in black and white do really care about that experience, but it just screams like, oh, let's do a quick 3D conversion after Avatar came out. Quickly, Clash of the Titans, it needs to be in 3D. Does it? Like,
yeah, I'd say I agree.
it
It depends on director and movie, because,
Yes.
as you've just said, some people just throw a 3D element onto it, whilst others film for 3D. But I feel like David Fincher is an example, because he does a lot of his digital work. I feel like he would be a perfect example of someone who could film in color and then digitally change it to black and white in post.
It's not really the strength of the filmmaker, though. It's more just like the intent and the fact that, like, if you go into it, you know, wanting to make a black and white movie, you're obviously going to make different creative choices before you even enter production than you would. You know, the fact that Justice League is it's meant to be in colour, isn't it? It's not meant to be in black and white. That's just like this weird extra thing. It's not meant to be in black and white, is it? Like they would have.
I mean, I wouldn't say it was in black and white anyway. I'd say it was
it's
like
not meant to be in
a
black and
dark
white.
cyan. Nope, cyan's blue.
But do you know what I mean? Like
Senate.
it's even at best with Snyder's washed out colours, it is meant to be a film that is experienced in colour. Like Superman does not benefit from being in black and white. He is a red and blue Boy Scout. That is literally the point. Superheroes
not in
need
this
to be
film.
in colour 9 times out of 10.
But also, I think it's like the intent. You know, like Mank needs to be shot in black and white because he's playing ode to those films of the time. Like the script is written in the format of the films of Citizen Kane, of those films. Like the dialogue is the snappy, the way we're cutting and transitioning between scenes. It's all purposely there to create a tone and a mood, a feeling. Like the black and white is not there just to, you know, just to be cool. Like to black and black, it's there to tell the story that needs to be told. And I think like what Matt's saying, or Matt's trying to say, is like it's weird to just slap it on when it's not intended necessarily to look like that. You know, it's not adding anything to the movie other than, oh, it's cool, it's in black and white kind of thing.
But then to go off that with the whole, it depends on the director and production company behind it. This is so Snyder to put it on because it looks cool.
Yeah, no, it is very Snyder.
So like,
It is
if
most
anything,
Snyder.
we've worked it back round to being like, nah, it fits.
It definitely speaks to Snyder's commercial instincts, which I
Yes.
think infect his filmography far more than people like to admit. Do you know what I mean? Like people like to often characterize him as this like auteur that goes after like the comic book accurate shots and you know, in reality, he is more than happy to chuck in a pop song and some poor green screen just to get the shot.
It's true.
I mean, I would agree with
He's a
that.
showman. He's a showman. Like
I would agree with that.
Includes trailers for the movies in the next movie. He includes a trailer for the next movie in every movie he makes.
Yeah.
We've seen that from Man of Steel right to Justice League.
I mean, in fairness with that, you've got Warner Brothers and DC behind him being like, hey, make sure you set up for the next film. We want to make a Marvel Cinematic Universe. So, like, to some extent, you can accept that he is going to add those little trailer beats.
Yeah, but the blasé way in which he did it became infamous. You know, like the emails with all the symbols.
Yes.
And this movie, I would argue, pushes it even further because rather than the emails having like a story reason, as bland as they are, in this one, you just cut to it. Like Cyborg is interfacing with something to resurrect Superman suddenly, and then you just see a trailer for Justice League 2 and 3. Like Lois Lane is dead, Superman's cradling her corpse, you know, Darkseid's fighting Aquaman, Wonder Woman's dead, just flashing it all up in front of you, and then we cut back to the scene. I actually started cutting down and playing around with scenes the other day because I was uploading a video for the Full Fat podcast, so I needed some clips from the movie. And just for shits and giggles, I cut out all of the trailer stuff from the Superman Resurrection scene, and I personally think it plays way better. Rather than all this like sequel baiting, Cyborg interacts with the interface, Flash runs, you get all that resurrection. The resurrection is important enough of a story beat that we don't need all this extra stuff thrown in. Just it's about the present narrative. It's about the present narrative and coming to one attack. Those things are very important.
References, I love it. Charlie, have you frozen? Oh no, there you are.
Charlie's very delayed.
Yeah, I am. I keep freezing now and then, so bear with my slow reactions. But I'm trying my best to understand.
No worries.
I think the internet's been a bit poo today.
Yeah, well, it's okay because I don't think you need to react that much longer because when Matt returns...
Matt's disappointed.
There he is. Yeah. We've been
when
talking
the world
for quite
needed
a while.
him, he vanished.
Yeah. I feel like now is a good time for us to do our actual reviews and get rid of all the smoke and all the happy-go-lucky faces you've been pulling and actually tell the people how you feel.
Yep. Who's going first? Matt, you going first?
Yeah, Matt goes first. He's the guest.
Well, Zack Snyder's Justice League is definitely it's in my top 5 superhero experiences of March 2021. Of course, number 1 would be The Falcon and the Winter Soldier. The opening episode was fantastic. It was a perfect blend of action, comedy, heart, and drama. And it was everything I'd want from a superhero story, the perfect continuation of Captain America's legacy, and it's given us the chance to see Sam and Bucky in a whole new light with new characters and just a whole expansion of their backstory. I'm very excited to see where the series goes, and indeed to see how how Sam Wilson picks up the mantle of Captain America. It's going to be great. But this is also good. I enjoy Zack Snyder's Justice League. I think as a movie and as a journey all the way back from 2013 to now, seeing this movie sort of rise from the ashes and on HBO Max in 4:3 in all its glory, I can't help but smile. Well done to the fans for getting it out there. The ones that, you know, have been above board about this and haven't been douchebags gloating about their victory. Like I've seen that enough on the internet in the last couple of weeks, and you know, seriously, just to those people, you won. There's no need to be a sore winner. You got the Snyder Cut. Like, bask in its glory. It's fantastic that this has happened, and you know, good on Zack Snyder for closing his, or at least in some way getting some closure on his story.
Yeah,
it's a fun movie. I enjoy it. I don't know if I would watch it any given Sunday because it's so long, but if you want to strap yourself in for an epic Zack Snyder's Justice League and look past the horrible reshoot scenes and the things that clearly could have just been trimmed in the edit, this is Zack Snyder going full Sheriff Snyder. This is his last chance to blow his load on everything. We've got Superman, we've got decapitations, we've got Green Lanterns, we've got apocalyptic futures, we've got Batman meeting Jared Leto, we've got Deathstroke, we've got Lex Luthor, Jesse Eisenberg, we've got it all. We've got Granny Goodness, we've got Desaad, we've got Darkseid, we've got Steppenwolf, we've got Parademons, you know, we've got pregnant Lois Lane, we've got the promise of a whole DC universe to come, while simultaneously admitting metatextually that this is indeed the end of Snyder. It's an incredible feat of cinema. Cinema.
Incredible. Right. Well, I've tried to hide it, but I don't think I've been very successful. I don't think it was very good. I think it was much better than the Joss Whedon one. However, I still think it's a coherent movie, but it's not a coherent good movie in my opinion. I think it's a bit of a mess. I think it's a bit like, it does feel like at times that Zack Snyder, as much as, I got a lot of respect for Zack Snyder, it does feel like he's smashing his action figures together at times. I do feel like, the Cyborg stuff was fantastic. I thought that was brilliant. I really like that. I like the Flash stuff. I do believe there is a 2-hour 30 cut that is a good movie, but I'm judging it off the 4-hour cut, and I do not think it is a good film. I found it very slow. I felt it built up to a finale that didn't quite deliver on its action, even though we spent a lot of time setting up these characters, setting up all this, this bigger momentous occasion of fighting Steppenwolf, for them to just sort of kick his ass a little bit. I feel like it never really felt like they needed Superman. They kind of beat him up pretty easy in the first time they fought him, and then in the finale it just kind of was like, oh, we need to get him back because and like Matt said, there's a lot of things where there's just trailers chucked in, but the fans got it. This is what they wanted, and fair play to them.
Luke,
it's not what I want to see,
your head.
but yeah.
Do you really like the movie? Do you really disagree with Charlie?
Yeah, I actually liked the movie. I'd say the only
really?
thing I agree with both of you actually is the length. It's too long. But I've stated multiple times on this podcast that I don't think a film needs to be like over 3 hours. Like, most films don't need to be as long as they are. And
you heard it here first, Luke. It's not about the length.
Oh no,
God. It's not about the length. Don't worry.
Yeah, very quickly, I did enjoy the film. I agree with you guys that it's too long. It destroys the Joss Whedon cut. But then it's
destroyed. The Whedon cut is destroyed. Glory, hail be Snyder. Sorry, we're getting through it.
But yeah, I thought it was a good story, and it was fun and well told. And as you guys said, they threw in everything because this is it. This is the last hurrah. Well done to the film. Am I going to watch it again? Probably not. It's 4 hours. It's most of a day for most people. So I'm good. But yeah. Matt, thank you for being on. Do you want to plug again your podcast and then plug your YouTube show?
So I make video essays and cool edits on Full Fat Videos, the YouTube channel. You can also follow the podcast on most podcasting platforms like Spotify, and the YouTube channel, the Full Fat Podcast, where we post cut downs and video podcasts, and Justice League Nightmare Scenes as post credits. That's kind of blown up this week. Check it out. Please
well
get me
done.
to 1 million. And then you can find me on Instagram at full_fat_videos, where I post digital art and photoshops and edits. And I'm losing my voice. And you can find me on Twitter at fullfatvideos, I guess, if you want to shout at me and tell me I suck. Or you can tell me I suck on any platforms. It's not exclusive to Twitter.
It's just normally on Twitter. And Charlie, where can people find us?
They can find us on Twitter, at FabFilmIsAwful. You can find us on Instagram, Your Favourite Film Was Awful, on Facebook, Your Favourite Film Was Awful. And if you listen to the podcast, check us out on YouTube, where you can find the video versions of us talking on Your Favourite Film Was Awful. So just subscribe, click the bell, do all that jazz, and tell us how much we suck as well, if you want. Or how great we are. Who knows?
Let's
say your favourite film was awful. You could do that if you want. I don't know.
Or your favourite film is awful is awesome. Either
your favourite film is awful podcast is awful.
Yes.
Yeah, there you go.
Anyway, this has been quite the little adventure. Thank you for joining us. Bye-bye.
Snyder! 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 Snyder!
What's your favorite film?
God, that's awful.
Favorite?
Awful.
Awful.
Your favorite film?
Awful.